Yield back.
Mr. Bacon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I want to thank General Votel for your leadership and your team. So many challenging problems in your AOR, and it's not just 1, 2, 3, it's just hard. So I know you and your team work very hard at that, and we appreciate it. I'm associated with the comments, too, of some of our colleagues here that say that we need to get a congressional authorization for force. I think we do. I think what we did in 2001 and 2003 aren't applicable, and I feel like we got to work towards that in Congress. And I also want to say that I agree with your comments on Iran. I think you're right on target. My 4th deployment there, I think, when I was in there in 2007 and 8, I believe roughly half of our servicemen and women were killed due to actions from Iran with the explosive, or the EFPs and the very support they were given to the Shia militias. And I dare say it'd be probably about 1,000 of our servicemen and women over time were killed due to the Iranian actions. My question to you today is, we can do kinetic operations indefinitely with ISIS or Al-Qaeda, but I don't think in the end that wins the fight. How do you see a grand strategy, or how do you see our grand strategy to defeat these enemies? It's got to be, we have to go after their ideology, their financing, their recruiting. Do you think we have the right strategy?
I do, Congressman. I think we do have the outline of a good strategy to address the things that you're highlighting here. As you are aware, one of the first things that the new administration did was direct the Secretary of Defense and Secretary of State to come up with a plan to address and defeat ISIS more completely. And I think the acknowledgement that is both Department of Defense, Department of State, and many others in the government here, I think is an acknowledgement that we do need to do that. We certainly need to go after their finances. We need to go after where they are physically. We need to go after the conditions that give rise to these particular organizations. But I would also add that we need to go after this ideology. And there are things that we can do, but there are certainly things that our partners in the region can do. There are just some things that as a Western country, as the United States, will not resonate as fully as it will from people in the region with respect to that. So the ideology, in my view, is very, very important. And then getting after the underlying issues that we talked about here, right, I think is ultimately what we really have to focus on.
One follow-on, in 2007 and 8, we had great success, largely because the Sunni tribes came over and started helping us against the fight against Al-Qaeda. I think on a grander level, we need to have that Sunni help, like you're alluding to. But our agreement with Iran, I believe, undermined the trust of many of the Sunni countries. I've heard that from some of our Sunni friends, because I think they fear Iran just as much as they do ISIS in many cases. Have you seen that same trend when you talk to our Sunni friends? Is there concerns with what we did the past 2 years, 3 years with Iran? And have you seen that undermine that ability with us to work with our Sunni friends?
Truthfully, Congressman, I have. I have had Sunni leaders and other Arab leaders tell me that same thing. And so I know there certainly is a perception out there about that. And as you know, oftentimes perception is truth in many quarters here. So that is why I think one of the key things that we have continued to emphasize with our people and with our leadership is the importance of building and rebuilding trust with our partners in the region. There are difficult situations here, and they're not all perfect. But we have to, I think it is better to be engaged with them and to be their preferred partner. And frankly, the impression I get when I talk to all of our partners in the region is they do prefer the United States. They want to have a relationship with us. And so I think we ought to look at ways that we can take advantage of that moving forward.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Mr. Lamborn.